Hello, folks. Welcome back. I'm here with Owen.
You are?
From Organic Cardboard. And today we're going to talk about inserts.
Yep.
Or specifically some games that really needed some inserts and maybe why you might benefit from adding an insert to these particular games.
Yeah, and if you're not aware, Sean just recently got his own 3D printer about a month ago or so, right?
Yeah, like the middle of January, I think. Yep.
Yeah, so he's been going to town on it. I've been telling him for a while that he needs to get one because I think anybody in this board game hobby that's in it as much as Sean or myself are needs to have a 3D printer so that you can print inserts.
Yeah, well, and all kinds of other stuff too.
But really just to print inserts.
Yeah.
That's 99% of what I do with mine.
I hate to admit it, but I think about 80% of what I've done so far has just been printing inserts and stuff for all the different games that I always wanted an insert for. If you've watched any unboxings on this channel or this channel in general for a while with reviews and stuff, I always bring up the storage solution. It's something that to me can make a huge difference, especially in a more complicated game.
Yeah.
And try to really get the game going and get it to the table, or being stored safely. As a person that paints miniatures and stuff, the way the minis are stored is real important to me. There's a million other reasons and a bunch of very specific examples. And we're going to go through those real quick. There'll be time codes down below if there's a game you want to hear about a little bit more. And let's go. Owen, do you want to start?
Yep. Okay, so first one I brought up was this game Marrakech. This is the Essential Edition. This game, when I got it, I opened it up and was like, I am not going to play this without an insert. It has to have an insert. And so I actually went online. This Essential Edition, at the very least, I think it just come out when I got it. And there were no free ones. Usually you can find free inserts for these games. So I did have to pay for the STL for this file, but I printed it myself. So we'll go ahead and just pull it out just to show an example of all of this stuff that's in here. So it's just cardboard on the top. So
your inspiration for this was to help with your setup?
It was chit. I did it for the chits, man.
Just for the chits.
Did it for the chits. There are a lot of chits. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Setup is certainly part of it, and part of it's just ease of play. But having to pull all these out of bags or keep them all open and have to
little piles all over the table,
figure your way through it, and there's some other things where they have, like this is common with any 3D printed inserts where you have nice areas for all of the different types of tiles and stuff too. So some of them that would otherwise look kind of similar have got their own space as well. So that helps to kind of maybe this has a good bit of like kind of expansion modules built into it. So it's got room for all those different components that you may or may not be using from one game to the next. And then, of course, it's always nice to just hand somebody all of their player pieces. They've got all their little, all their caches, as they call them here. So it's just all slick. Everything's got, like, these people that do this are geniuses with the modeling software. And so it has, like, nice little slider divider, like, spots, so this thing will go in there and not fall off. I don't have to set it on there all weird or anything. Whoop, there it goes. As I say, it doesn't fall off. It does have one open end. But yeah, just slick, and nice little spots for a place for everything, a thing for every place.
So you said you paid for this one, right?
Yeah, I can't remember how much I paid for it. At no more than $10. It was probably like $6 or $8 or something like that. I can't remember, to be honest. Yeah, you got all of these are little cardboard pieces, and I do not want to have to fumble through a bunch of bags. I knew I was not going to enjoy the game hardly at all if I had to do that, just because so much of my time would have been in figuring out where everything's at. So this keeps it.
I really look forward to the setup of something that I printed out, an insert that specifically fixes those problems and stuff. I'm always eager, especially after our first print one, to gotta get it to the table and see how much faster it is to get it out.
Yeah, it's like the very first thing I want to do when I get a game is get it all sorted, get it all in line. I hate playing the games before I have it all I'm not super organized in my life, but with my board game at least I tend to be. But yeah, I really like this insert. Came out really well. I wish I could remember the guy's name. This was at least a year or so ago that I printed this.
Did you just find them on Etsy or something?
Yeah, I think I found them on Colts 3D is one of the main.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the main ones that you'll purchase like STL files from. Some people do sell them on Etsy. Maybe even on eBay. I think more commonly on Etsy.
The one I was looking at was on Etsy.
I'm gonna put this one back on the bottom. But yeah, that's Marrakech, the Essential Edition, the nice, appropriately sized box. I don't know. You can get the giant one if you want. That's like huge mess of a game. But look, it just pops right back together. Of course, I didn't get the whole game out, but everything just.
Very little lid lift either.
Yeah, there might be a tiny bit on the one corner. Like if you're pinching it down, it actually kind of goes away. But
can you store it vertically easily?
You can. Some inserts are better than others for that, and if this is pressed well enough, it'll stay vertically. But like I could probably flip it upside down around once and get away with it. But as soon as I've pulled this out and brought it to people's houses and back, and it's kind of shuffled around, a few of those things will get a little bit mixed up. But for the most part, it all stays in pretty good.
Yeah, that's always the big test.
Yeah.
When I'm doing my reboxings and stuff, I like to flip them all around and stuff. In fact, let's give this one a good.
Now.
All right, that'll never happen, right? So that'll be a good test.
Yeah, I printed an insert for this as well. But I think Sean's got maybe a better one or a new one, different one than I did. So I haven't seen his yet.
Okay, so...
I should have, though. We just played this the other day, but I didn't look at your insert at all.
I didn't have it.
Oh, you didn't have it?
I printed it after we played. We pulled it out to play, and I went, oh my God, this needs an insert. In fact, here is the insert it came with.
Yeah.
So... It's some folded origami cardboard, and it's basically 2 slots.
These aren't storage solutions; these are safe shipping solutions.
So so they're not really meant to help get you to the table. Mm-hmm. What they want, I guess, what they would typically do is just have you bag all this stuff, and then put it out. Now, this wasn't a perfect solution, but it ended up working out okay. So here are. And like these colors are.
Oh, yeah.
I'm kind of limited by the colors of filament that I have.
Oh, you got dashboards.
This is something else that you can do with a 3D printed insert is you can add a more premium playing experience by having a whole player dashboard. So I'm handing him like all the yellow stuff, but also it's a dashboard. And if you look, each of these, this middle part comes out.
Cool.
And so you've got a little resource tray to track the resources, and your character sheet will fit right here in the top.
Very cool.
And
that is neat. Yeah, I see that now. Yeah.
So we'll take one out here and just kind of demonstrate. Oops. I got a little teardrop kind of got away from me. So this is going to fit like so. Yeah. The guy that made this sleeves these, so it's a little bit bigger than they need to be. But then you got a little place for your discard cards and stuff like that, and your spies and your other guys in the little what do you call those influence tokens that you can get from stuff. There's a little space. Yeah. The other thing that's cool, this insert is this has this little tiny.
I saw one little. She's hiding the spies.
They all have this. Small area here at the top to hold cards. So you got a little card holder to kind of show the cards you've got in play. And because this has a mechanism where you do drafting. Oh,
you're good.
Yeah, not everything perfectly survived the tumbling. I've got my little 3D printed thing here. This came with an extra box. In fact, here it is. It came with an extra box that is just to take up space. So I use it to hold my little 3D printed sandworm that Owen made me. So I just keep those right there.
That's one other thing you can do when you have 3D printers is you can print little things. This is the first player token for the game instead of having to use the little whatever disc.
And here's some little resource trays with all the different resources. And these have slots across the top too. So when you put these two out together, you can do your whole draft where you get propped up, which
That's really cool. Yeah.
Maybe wouldn't help with 4 players, but for 2 or 3 players, it'd be nice. Everybody could see it.
Yeah, I think so. Well, the other nice thing too is like you can, when you have something like that display, you can take and just, hey, here, take a look at it and trade them around.
Oh, that's true. You could kind of hand it around a little bit.
5 cards. Yeah, they'd have to get both of them, I guess, but
this one is get to the table quick, ready, in that it's got that these trays can just kind of pull out and be set up, and you're done. I did leave this. This is like the 6-player stuff. I kind of left it separate. I think maybe you normally put it in that box. But yeah, it's a real nice little insert. I got this for free on Maker World, I think.
Yeah, Thingiverse, printables, those are the main ones. Now Maker World is the is that the bamboo?
Yeah. It's oh, wait, before we put that in. This goes here. So the other thing that this had that didn't work well, so I thought he said he made it for sleeved cards, but he was talking about these. So sleeved cards did not perfectly fit in here. In fact, this is the tray that this is supposed to go on, and it just was not big enough. So but I left that out, and then these fit in here just kind of perfectly. So it worked out okay. I was worried. It's like, oh crap, because there's no room. There's no room to add it, make any of these bigger or smaller, really.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but you have them divided already to the things that you need them, and these need to be all together. So.
I thought about scaling. I could probably scale all these down like 10% and like give myself another couple of centimeters.
Sometimes it's not worth reprinting stuff if you're not that anal about it too. So
like this thing holds the rivals, so when you're playing solo and stuff. So I had to take some of them over into the next slot that was made to hold this separately, but I just rubber banded the ones that were different, and then they're good.
Yeah, this is another example though of a game that is improved play, like your experience of play is going to be improved certainly by having a nice little dashboard to use. You can get, I don't know, like you can play Dune. It's not too bad as far as like all the content that you have to get out, but it still just makes life a lot easier.
Yeah, it makes the setup a lot faster, I think.
Yeah, setup in particular, being able to just hand people stuff. And
it comes to the table faster, it gets broke down faster. The other thing you got to watch out if you do get this one is you got to put something chunky enough. That's why the worms are in that spot. Because you got to have something chunky enough not to go up through these big holes, which has been the one dilemma. But you saw how I turned it, and we only got one water drop out of place. So
yeah, you could probably even shift some of the player cards over to it to help with it if you needed to.
Oh, you're a genius.
Little tricky ways.
Of course, that might be holding the stuff from the other side.
Well,
maybe I could just do this side.
Actually, there you go.
Yeah, there we go.
Maybe that's all you needed.
Oh, man.
A little ingenuity.
Owen's just like always making life better for someone. That's just his gift.
My last name might as well be Phillips.
All right, so this goes back together, has almost no lid left, and it was a great way to kind of upgrade Dune Imperium.
Yeah, mine does have everything. It's funny that he made space for the sleeves on the cards that least need it, but I do also have those sleeves as well.
I know. I think I made some assumptions when I read the description, but come to discover after I started like putting things together, like I think I just took the player boards and went, oh, the sleeves fit in there fine, and then didn't look anywhere else.
Yeah. So Sean was having me pick out some inserts today, and I have so many of them that it's kind of hard for me to like figure out which ones I like the best, because they really some of them are really neat. It's impressive. Just like people that make the games to begin with, the people that can like make these really nice storage solutions. This one for Root is particularly neat, I think. So I have the base game, the river folk with the lizard folk, and then what's the other ones? The crows with the moles are all in here. It also has enough room to fit the marauders in it, but you have to shift some other stuff around where it fits some of the other small expansion stuff better. If you leave that part out and change it. There's some optional stuff that you can do with it with the way this guy designed this insert. So this is neat though, because they took And you're actually
That's
using
two lids.
You're actually using one of the expansion boxes, and they do this sometimes with storage solutions for games. I think even not necessarily with inserts sometimes, where you'll take the core box and it'll create lid lift. So if I pull this apart, a bunch of stuff's going to fall out. But there's a pretty fair amount of lid lift off the core box. So then you put more stuff in here to offset it, so the lid lift meets flush with the boards that are in this expansion box, and then it all just fits like perfectly flush against each other, and it looks like it was meant for it. It feels like it's like, and it's solid. It doesn't feel like it's fallen out of itself. But if I pull the lid off here, this is some of these get so complicated that I'll actually print like a thing to remind myself how to put the insert back together.
Oh, that's very handy.
But you lift the whole core box out, and then underneath here has got all of these, all the player boards, basically the maps. I think it's got a couple maps maybe in it.
Yeah, you got the winter one there.
Yeah. Oh, I guess it doesn't have every one of the player. I guess these are just the maps. I think I even had to like shift this whole insert around a little bit to make it work as well as I wanted to. There's a few extra tokens in here too that. I think that's for like variable setup or something.
Probably just didn't fit somewhere else.
Yeah, so I've got a few of the other pieces here. I think I had... Oh, that's what I'd done. Yeah, I shifted around because I actually stuck the original Automa in here as well. But the core part of the insert's pretty darn neat, I think. Because you talk about like having the players' pieces together. I've got... Each one of the factions, you can have them color-coded. That's optional, of course, not necessary. But you got all of the little pieces all together, and it's all cute and well organized.
Oh, man, that is nice.
And so anytime somebody's getting a faction, you just set them their whole set of stuff out. In fact, this insert had a fun amount of extra room to play with, so this is a kind of a neat little slider thing just for some of the crafting stuff that you make in it. It's been a little while since I played
all the stuff you trade with the raccoon.
I printed all of these.
Oh my gosh!
For the
those the buildings?
No, they're for the clearings.
Okay.
So they're color coded for like the fox, the rabbit, and the mouse clearings. And then they have the little face on them. And they printed out pretty good. I printed these in high quality, as high of detail level as I could out of my printers.
That's great.
And it came out pretty smooth, I thought. It actually looked really nice at the end of it. But yeah, so I added these in here. I think he had this space for it, but then I had to find these somewhere else. I think that's because you can get the official ones that are 3D printed or injection molded, whatever.
Oh, really?
The ones that are made from the company. But I found where somebody had these, and they're also all individualized too, so they look different, not just the color and the icon, but they have their own whatever. One of them's more wood, one's more stone, one's more rubble or something. The mouse one, it kind of looks like it's made out of cheese. But yeah, so quite a few different factions all in one box, and I love getting games together into one box when it has a lot of expansion content. So all this stuff just kind of slots. It's got little spaces for everything. So this is part of the Otter's little display that they have to sell stuff with. Moles. It's got stuff for like extra vagabonds and things in here as well. A nice little thing to hold your dice with that comes out, and then you have all of the other
just player boards
up underneath of it. So there's at least 8 of them or so in there. But pretty neat though. I just thought that whole thing came out.
Root's got a lot of expansions. It
really
looks like you've got quite a few of them in there.
I do, yeah. Now I get the fun thing of putting I might not do this on video.
Hey, we'll be right back as he reassembles Root. So another thing that inserts will do, as we just demonstrated, is that they'll let you combine a lot of your game into, or a lot of your games with lots of boxes.
Yeah.
It could be a game and a bunch of little boxes, and it lets you combine it all together so it's easier to store. We're all running out of space. All of us board game nerds were just out of space.
Yeah.
And I even stopped saving my expansion boxes.
You have to at some point. You got to let them go. I was keeping mine all...
And I had mine in the attic.
I had empty wall space behind me for a while, and I was sticking them all onto the wall with tack because they look pretty cool. Just empty box, stick it up with tack. It kind of had a nice art thing to it. But finally, I just had to throw them away.
Here's the game for y'all. Go ahead and take a look at this. Pause the video, and then leave a comment down below with what insert you think this is. Owen, do you have a guess?
I feel like you just told me, and now I can't remember. I feel like you had
you don't have this game.
I don't have this. You just mentioned something earlier, and then I don't know.
This
is it Heat?
It's Heat.
It's Heat. Okay,
it is Heat.
I started to recognize.
Yeah,
it.
You see the little cars.
Maybe you didn't tell me that. Maybe I can't remember if you told me that or not.
And now I can finally throw that away. I've only kept it to show you. Okay, so this added a substantial amount of weight to this game. This is now a very heavy game.
Yeah, it does that sometimes.
But it will hold the original game, the expansion, and the expansion that hasn't even come out yet. We've got space.
Oh.
There's space for it. This guy did... Okay, and because there's going to be some space for it, it's going to hold another whole map in here. I've just included a piece of foam because that expansion has not come out yet. I usually leave myself a little clue on what kind of sleeves I used. So when I add more to it, I'll know what they were. So that's what that is. This one's got a couple of rule books here. It's got these spacers that are meant to... And this guy sold different... he didn't. I got this for free. This, again, is another one from Maker World. And the guy that made several different spacers so you can change depending on how much of this game you have. So I've got the ones that will hold all the maps. So when the new maps come out, they kind of will keep everything good.
Shifting and yeah.
There's 1, 2, 3 maps so far, which is most of the weight of this game. I'll put this down just to kind of help. I always worried that these plastic trays will scratch these boards. So I like to put a little paper buffer down just to give it like a half a centimeter.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Just to kind of keep it off of there. This is another one. So here's the empty purple one for the expansion that hasn't come out yet. I actually went and bought more filament to make this work.
Yeah, it looks like you almost perfectly matched the colors.
Isn't that weird?
All these, yeah.
These plastic colors are so standardized that I was able to just kind of like almost perfectly match the colors of the cars and stuff. They got a little place to put the gear shift in there. Keeps the gear shift.
Keeps it from sliding around.
Yeah, so it's like the car will move a little bit, and you got your starter deck of cards. So again, it's another one where it was set up. You want to be yellow? Here's your yellow car.
And that's just appealing too. Like it kind of makes you want to play the game when you see it come out this nice.
Yeah.
So that's another bonus. Get your games played, people.
This tray is part of the. The other thing this guy did that was kind of unique is he two-toned. He put a different tone. Now I didn't have the colors that he had. He made it so it could be like kind of this beige and red and stuff. And I didn't have those colors at the time, especially. So I had gray and this light blue. So I've got kind of this Malibu looking.
Yeah, I think it looks pretty neat though the way it came out.
So, there are trays that are in here. In fact, he made extra trays that now I use to hold my SD cards, but you made extra trays, so if you don't get the insert, you just got some more trays to sort things out or just kind of keep them. It's real important that they do these layers and then they stay put because if something goes away, then things start flying around. So but yeah, I got all the space I need for the upcoming.
It's very cool
thing. These are interesting too, in that they. So this would be too big for my printer to really print. I could probably get away with it, but these are made to dovetail into one another.
Yeah, that's cool.
So it's hard to see, but these very tightly will scooch into one another, and then they just make a bigger display.
You didn't have to glue it or anything?
No glue or anything.
Very cool. That's always satisfying.
Yeah, very, very neat one. I definitely recommend this if you have heat. It holds all of heat.
Yeah,
which is cool.
Yeah, it kind of looked like I didn't realize how many little pieces there were in the heat because you have a bunch of separated cards for all these different things. Now you can really access them really easily. So that's
I think it's a
wonderful.
lot easier to kind of sort out and quickly get to the different parts of it that you need.
And we're showing that this is a less complicated insert than than the previous one was.
Oh, let's do the maps.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll break this down. We'll be right back. Okay.
And speaking of games that are helping you, or inserts that are helping you condense your games down, this is for Scythe. This is the entire Scythe series. And, well, I guess, yeah, we don't call that, what's that other one, the adventure,
the campaign?
Expeditions or whatever. It's not Expeditions. I don't know if
that's a whole different game.
I don't know if that's counted as a Scythe part of a series, but this is the whole game with all of the expansion content together. Now, this is got a fair amount of lid lift. It's kind of wobbly because I've got some stuff sitting on top of it.
Do you have Furnace in here too?
Yeah, Fenris. Yeah,
Fenris.
The Rise of Fenris. Everything is in here. And for me, this is an acceptable amount of lid lift to get rid of those extra boxes. This is about as much.
You want to compare it to the big box?
Sure, yeah.
Actually, I have the big box.
While he's getting that out, I can go ahead and open. Well, no, I'll tell you what. We'll wait because I want to see them side by side.
Well, that's a little bit better. Yeah, they're sideways.
Yes, this is the big box that you pay whatever.
Sean, $30.
Whatever Sean pays. Okay, that's somewhat reasonable.
Legendary box. It only came with like paper inserts and stuff.
But so
it's the same. It's the same top size. It's the width that's different. Oh.
Yeah, significantly. This is almost half the width.
Wow.
You got to count that lid lift. Without the lid lift, I think it's half.
Very nice.
Another centimeter or so of lid lift. So on the inside here, we'll see how we got it. So part of what's causing everything to kind of be lid lifted is are the Fenris, the Rise of Fenris spiral notebook, and the map sitting on top. In fact, part of it, I see part of it. Part of it is because this map was also kind of like shifting up on top of these a little bit. So getting that out of the way, though, we've got all. So there's a little bit of extra stuff that you could have had in here. I think there were some extra of these dials that you can get from something. I don't remember exactly where those showed up at.
I think there were some, like there were one of those bonus.
Yeah, like backings or something.
Yeah.
Like where you might have had one for each faction. So I've got the 4 that come in just the normal retail over here. So those again kind of sit somewhat just in there. But the cool thing is they got all of the factions all separated out. I've got the name. You can't see them real well on here because they're just printed into the side. But it's got all of the names of each of the factions. I wonder if that's going to come up.
Get a different.
Yeah, get the widest. I'll get the widest one, the hardest one to see. We'll just try.
I feel like green will work.
Yeah. Maybe you can catch
that. You can sort of see
You can get that a little bit. Yeah, Albion, there it comes. I thought that was really neat. Each one of these is, a lot of these are slightly individualized depending on the tokens, but these are mostly just big boxes of stuff thrown together. So if you have these painted, it's maybe not the nicest way to keep them, but I'm never going to paint them. So, but it works really well for me, and for me, I'd rather just have that space to hold them all. I got the Fenris box, and I even took and put contains box B, C, and D on the side. Again, you can't really see that too well. And then I even have the words that shows what each of those boxes are. So as you're playing the expansion, you can go in and find them. Maybe it's not quite as hidden as it would have been from the get-go, but you can replay the expansion and more or less get to play it all over again. But then we got separate sliders for all of these cards. This is like everything's pretty tight. I think I did this before I got one of those deburring tools to shave these down a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
So I can see the edges are a little bit elephant footed out. But this is kind of nice, a little slider for these cards. It's like a little desk tray thing for them. And I designed this. I made this little box, a little press fit box for the encounter tokens. It works. Kind of.
He says.
It works.
Yeah.
You got little finger holes to pop them out with.
That's cool.
Part of it, I'm just trying to do it quickly on the camera. These are pretty neat for the resources. These are janky looking though. They just printed kind of janky. I did them on my old printer, but I can get all the resources in there. And these are all of the realistic resources. Some of these I had to kind of cram in over on the other spots just because it originally was set up for the wooden ones. But it's got all your money and everything held together. So you got 2 of them, and so you can set them around the board as you need to. And then this is just some goofy little like slide-in insert lid.
Yeah, I've noticed there's a lot of those. They're really easy to engineer, I guess.
I had to put these like little feet on here too, just to get it to like set up just right, so it wasn't. Originally, I had the cardboard coins in here, and I didn't want them bumping.
Oh, okay. So you made little risers to keep them from rubbing and stuff.
And then you got so all the player mats. Deeply up underneath all of these separated tokens and trays and stuff are all of the boats. So
the airships.
All the ships, yeah. So some of this stuff's gotten a little shifted around. Again, that's probably part of the lid lift because I could see some tokens on top of other stuff that's pushing some of these things up in the air a little bit. But yeah, pretty handy though. I'm not going to pull them all out, but it's got spots for each one of the boats. I did have to take in this is all one solid piece too. So I had to cut it in half because it was definitely not fitting on my printer. But I like this insert a lot, though, to just hold everything. I did a lot of little editing to put these words and stuff on here and have, like, I edited some of these boxes and things to hold some of the tokens a little bit better. I made them so that they would hold, like, the specific tokens. You can see, if you can see, like, the ones for the Tagawa are, like, kind of jagged edged or whatever. And had to make them so that they would fit just right because the other ones were kind of generic and didn't fit every one of them really well. But I like it. Pretty cool.
Very neat.
Scythe.
Nice. All of Scythe.
I just love that I got to get rid of all those boxes.
Yeah.
To be able to get this together in here.
Well, and this takes up a lot less room than my one big box.
Yeah.
Which I kind of half organized and then put it on the shelf. I haven't pulled out Scythe in so long. It's another one I painted, and then, if I paint it, it's doomed. About half the time, anyway. All right, next up, we have one that Owen printed for me before I had a printer. It's kind of a gift. And by the way, if you've got a gamer friend, and you know that he's got a game that could really use an insert, and you have the ability to either purchase or print one yourself, it's a great gift. It's a great, very thoughtful gift to give to people.
It's very cheap if you do have a printer already.
Yeah, and it's also a real inexpensive way to kind of show some appreciation. So Tiny Epic they come, in case you live in a cave and don't know what Tiny Epic is, they come in these tiny little boxes. Scott Holmes, the designer, kind of keeps himself to a very strict amount of space. That's his formula. He makes different kinds of games. They're all kind of different games. Like they really don't feel similar from one to another. But
no, they're very different. They're actually fairly complicated. A lot of them.
Yeah, and they're more complicated than usually you can pull out and play with your cousin.
Yeah.
And
some of them aren't so bad.
But I don't sleeve the small cards. I don't think the sleeves would really work with this. But
I'm pretty sure I have mine all sleeved.
Do you have them all sleeved?
Yeah, and did you have the expansion for this as well?
I do.
Okay.
There's another whole insert that'll fit the expansion as well.
That unfortunately you can't get rid of the expansion box, but it is a very, very small box, and you can get it if you make sure everything stays in there flatly. You can get no lid lift on it.
It looks like the dice have migrated around a little bit. I've got these extra dice that didn't. These are like little extra things, so there wasn't really a perfect space for them. I think I just shoved them in there.
Unless it had a spot in the expansion box, it's possible. These were the coolest things, though. These the
individual player pieces or player color.
Yeah, they were just really neat the way that this guy designed these. And this was just another free insert that somebody kindly put out. Most of these people in the 3D printing world are pretty happy to put stuff out for free and share them, because we use each other's stuff all the time. But you can get all this stuff out, and it's even got the boat in the bottom of it as well. So that's pretty cool. And then you got little slots to hold all
I forgot
the
the boat was in there too.
Yeah, your little boat with your captain sitting on the top of it. So pretty darn neat that you can get all of that organized just like that. Because you'll give this to somebody and they'll just toss the whole thing upside down. I mean, when you're playing with them, you'll give them their player piece and they'll just toss it all upside down, but all their stuff will be right there and just has a cool little organization otherwise to hold it all together.
That is neat. Yeah, it's just such a pleasure. Such a pleasure.
It's like a toy within the toy that is the toy game that is little boats and little cubes and little spots to hold the cubes.
Now I'm trying to remember how they went back in there.
I can put it back if you want.
Got little people here. You got a couple of pull-out things that you can go ahead and add to your game. Mm-hmm. And then these individual player pieces and a spot for everything.
Knocking it everywhere.
With Tiny Epic, it's real important to utilize the space the best you can, and this definitely does. It takes up every inch of this.
Yeah.
But in the best way possible, in a way that makes it so. The problem with a small game like this is when you go to pack it back up, without very specific organization.
You'll deal with lid lift.
Yeah, you're gonna have lid lift, and when the lid lifts off, people are like, "Well, what's the big deal of that?" But
spot for all the merchant boats.
Yeah,
yeah.
But when the lid lifts off, what happens is components start to shift, and then things kind of come apart, and it just becomes a mess.
Mm-hmm.
So, Tiny Epic Pirates.
There is actually a spot in each one of the... I know these are fairly complicated, but there is actually a little spot for each of these coins to go into.
Oh, into each of these? Is that what that is right there?
I think it's underneath one of these, the little treasure...
But,
whatchamacallits.
Well, we'll have to pull this out and play it. And
it's a fun little game.
We can add that to our list from last week.
It needs to be played more often.
Yeah, I know. I played this one a lot when it first came out. I think this is actually one of my favorites of the Tiny Epic games, especially the newer ones.
You know, the one we don't get out enough is Vikings. The
Vikings.
I think that one had a lot more going for it than we gave it credit for.
Sometimes, insert can give you an opportunity to take something that's really simple of what you would never think it needs an insert. But Sea Salt and Paper, the box it comes in, is really, really small, and you can't sleeve the cards. Now, this is a game where you're going to shuffle and shuffle and shuffle quite a bit. So I wanted to sleeve my cards, and I'd use these big old Titan shields, these giant, thick-ass Titan shield things. And, so I needed an insert. So I found this. And the cool thing that this does, too, is a little hard to see there, but it's got a place to keep score. So that's the other thing, is there's no way to keep score, and there's a lot of keeping track of numbers. So I've got some little pegs, some different color pegs that I printed out, and it's got a little scoreboard built in. And this is all printed in one piece together. It's printed up, and then it switches filament to make the blacks in there.
Yeah, so Sean's got a printer that can change its filament out as it goes, even on the same layer. If you know anything about 3D printing, usually you have to do an entire layer at a time when you're changing colors, unless you have one that has a purge system and can do it that way. So this looks really clean. That looks really neat on the back, just the way that it matches the wording of the box and everything. Yeah. It's super attractive. But if you didn't have that, it would be very easy for them. They might even have an option or something for people that don't. Maybe not, because this came from Bamboo, right? This is from the Bamboo makers.
So on your layers, I don't know about this technique.
No,
but
you would have to make these.
You have to make
deeper,
a pause or something.
Well, you would this, because it's flush with the same layer. You would have to actually take the words and insert them in just a little bit. These you could do, and then you would just make the whole layer black, so you'd have a black line going around. But what I'm getting at is that there's options to still make these just as functional without having to have as nice of a printer too. But they're all starting. If you don't have a printer now, they're all starting to kind of go that way, where it's not as hard to get one without.
Yeah, they're cheap.
Spend so much money. Yeah,
cheaper and cheaper. I mean, and a lot of these things you can make on an A1 Mini.
Yeah,
$200-$300. Not very expensive at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the last part. So the last thing I wanted to talk about, or maybe one of the last things I wanted to talk about, definitely for the show and tell portion of this, is that sometimes it's not about getting the whole insert. Maybe they did some part of it right. Now this is Carnival Zombie, and a lot of it's empty because that's what's on my paint table right now. I'm painting this up, and it is a really weird game. I'll tell you what.
Cool miniatures.
Cool miniatures, very odd. Everybody's all dressed up and fighting zombies, and their weirdest clothes possible. So this, all the miniature parts of this, excellent, well done. They've got little names, so you know where they all go. That's a big thing with a lot of these miniatures and stuff, and these vacuum form trays take up a lot of space. In the case of this one, I've got all the standees that these replace, like shoved underneath here.
Oh yeah.
But what somebody made here, and then this clever thing with the cards. So to sleeve the cards, you just, instead of putting them in like that, you just put them in sideways, and now they all fit as sleeves. So that's kind of neat. But someone made this insert to kind of supplement this. So all of this stuff did not have a space.
That's a lot of little stuff.
And there's a lot of little chits and stuff in this game. A lot of little individual pieces, and this just kind of lifts them all out and keeps it nice and safe.
Don't drop that.
All kinds of like little doodads and stuff for the game. It makes it really easy for the setup. Just a couple extra pieces here. Like it keeps going down too. Like so this was all just a kind of an empty cylinder that sat, next to this thing, and now it's got a kind of a space for all the different various chits. It's a little hard to see in there. And it was just a kind of a supplemental print.
Yeah, that's handy though, because you don't need to do a full-on extra insert for a game because honestly, if you did do a whole insert, you'd probably just have a bunch of empty space.
Yeah,
with a game like this,
because these vacuum form trays, they just kind of naturally take up a lot of space. And you can easily replace this. One I'm not going to show today that I've basically redone completely is Conan the Barbarian. That one is one where I've personally designed a lot of it to fit. It only holds the core box of Conan because there's just so many miniatures and stuff. But it will, by taking that big box of miniatures out, I made it like a lot easier to get it in and out. Now that I fold up and I put on top of here. The one flaw with this one is these things can kind of move around. So I just put the little bag like so. And these are kind of going into here because he made another whole thing for the standees. So there's some stuff I didn't print out of here because I don't care about the standees. I'm gonna paint these. What do I care?
Yeah, often what they do with some of these games is they'll make these. They'll put the standees in sideways, and they'll have little sliders that kind of catch them all. And that way, if they're painted, they're not banging against things. They'll just kind of slide in place.
Yeah.
In fact, one that I did not bring with me was for Primal the Awakening, and Primal the Awakening's got a lot of big miniatures in it and a lot of plastic and stuff in there and a lot of boxes. It's a lot of boxes. And you're able to get all of the miniatures into the core box because of how they're doing it. Now with this, it would be, again, unnecessary to do because then you're just going to have a bunch of empty space in this box. Like you could condense all the air out of this and still make it safe for your painted minis. But by that point...
Yeah, he had made a little thing that fits right up here,
and
then it would hold all the standees and stuff.
And
then there was a space in there for the bases for the standees, but I didn't feel like printing all that out.
Well, sometimes you just take what you need and leave the rest.
I've got another real nice one for Castles of Burgundy. Castles of Burgundy is an example of a game that has a really, really nice insert, but there was a couple little pieces, especially with the acrylic tokens and stuff, that didn't fit. So that they have this expansion with the shields. I've never played with that expansion.
I think I did. I think I have.
They got an expansion with the shields, and they got and another expansion has these different grapes and stuff for the vineyards. And this is just a couple little inserts that fit inside the plastic that just take the bags away and a nice little spot to hold all those things. Holds them nice.
Yeah, sometimes that's all you need. I got Rajas of the Ganges is one that has the simplest insert that I've ever printed for a game. And it's literally just like a little accordion looking divider thing that just slides right in there and lets you get rid of the bags. It's just like, it's so nice. But their insert was decent enough, but there was just this odd little pile of individual tokens that you had to, and this is very minimalistic. There's probably better ones out that sort them out even better, but I was just so happy to be like, oh, prints in 5 minutes? Okay, done. And now I've got
I think the first insert I printed was Black Angel.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
And that was a really neat insert to make too. And it holds those weird, awkward shapes and stuff. It wasn't so different from what I've already shown you to pull it all the way out. But that's a great one. If you have Black Angel, you should look that one up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another one, just some cardboard pictures and stuff for an insert.
Well, hopefully this video shows you why you need to get a 3D printer if you don't have one. If you're in the board game hobby, you need one. You need one. You can find cheap ones, and they'll be a huge headache. But they're also getting cheaper. The better ones are getting cheaper too.
Yeah, so, yeah. The bamboo, like there's seems to be a wide range of printers these days. The bamboo ones have some pluses and minuses. They're a little bit more expensive, a little bit easier to jump into.
They're tested at this point, and they're kind of become the Apple of the printer world, because
very user friendly. They're made to be user friendly.
They work well. They're also starting to get proprietary in the sense that they're starting to give you trouble with software, and they're starting to make people a little angry because they're not as open source. Elegoo made that Centauri Carbon recently, and it's only like $300 for like a pretty almost fully featured 3D printer too.
Is that one? That was all enclosed and stuff, right?
Yeah, and I'll be testing that one out soon. Hopefully soon, whenever that comes. If tariffs don't do something weird to mess with it, but they don't have a. I think they're trying to start calling those all like an AMS or something. I think they're what the generic term. They're starting to try to call that automatic something for switching your filaments.
Yeah.
But they're going to be making one for it. But for me, like that's like an excellent entry price printer to get into. But you can also find ones that are like $100, like Ender 3s and stuff. You go to Micro Center and find those on sale for $100 in stores. But they're also a lot more of a headache. So you got to pick your battles and what it's worth it to you. And sometimes it's worth to spend just a little bit more and get one that's not going to be such a big headache.
Well, thank you so much, folks, for tuning in today. We really appreciate it. I'm almost to 2,000 subscribers. I'd love it if you help me push me over that hump this summer. I'd like to get over that.
Over the hump.
Jump
the hump.
Just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Oh, and also could use some subscribers. So
yeah.
Feel free to subscribe to our channels and come back for more board game musings. Until next time, enjoy your games. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.